So Dani, you watched the team grow from 3 people to 8. What has that been like for you, especially being the only female head in the company?
Yeah, I came to EBG at a very interesting time. They were in the process of rebuilding a lot of what they provided and the structure of everything. And at the time, yeah, there were only 3 of us. It was very hectic, I would say, because as an entrepreneur, no matter what, you have to wear a lot of hats. But when there are only 3 people running a high-end operation, the amount of hats you wear are crazy. It's just crazy. Every new person that we added on, we were lucky enough to find people that aligned with our values, which we are so grateful for. They came in and they were ready to learn, and they took so much weight off of us. And it was amazing because the team was growing, and so was the camaraderie, which was beautiful as well. There were so many new voices and ideas. Before I worked with EBG, I was a solopreneur. I wanted so badly to have a team that I could bounce ideas off of, that we could celebrate wins together. Yeah, and just be a collective group of amazing voices. And then as far as being the only female head, that comes with challenges. It also comes with benefit. You have to understand our brains aren't wired the same way, so you have to be extra good at communicating. And I think that that's the best advice I could give any man who's in a female-dominated industry and any female in a male-dominated industry. Your communication just has to be that much better because you have to understand the perspective in which the other person's looking through. So that was new for me, and that's something I've learned and I've gotten better and better at, but it was definitely a cool growing experience for me because of that.
How have you grown since coming to EBG and becoming head of brand?
I've grown so much since beginning to work with EBG. When I first came in, I was a shooter and editor, which we call a shreditor. I learned how to turn around content so quickly. There is a system and a method. Once you find your rhythm, that's when you really start seeing growth on a creative production end. Then I learned more and more about distribution and how that process works, and creating content with a goal in mind. We have so many different clients and they all have different goals, like business structures, industries, audiences, so you have to keep their goal in mind and how can you best serve their goal. I learned to not get offended at critiques. You gotta get comfortable with being told that things need fixed, and that doesn't necessarily mean something's always wrong. It just needs to be changed and updated. I also learned how to delegate to a team because as we started bringing more and more people, and with more and more experience that I had in these different areas of our business, I had to learn how to delegate, and which was very difficult for me because I was one of those people that was like, no, it's better if I just do it myself. It's better if I do it myself. It's not gonna get messed up. I've done it right. I can do it right again. That's not gonna always work because when you have more and more clientele coming on, you need the help. It's just not possible. So you need to focus more on how can you correctly train the people around you to then work at your level as well, and then start delegating that work. So I learned how to do that, how to communicate delegating and what I needed from them. And yeah, I just learned how to speak to different types of personalities because we have a wide range of personalities, both in team and clientele. So how can you get through to them best?
How did you become head of brand? Where did you start? What qualities make you perfect for head of brand?
So when I started at EBG, I was a shreditor, which meant that I would shoot content with the idea of editing it as well. Then I stepped into distribution of said content. There's copywriting involved, as well as, titles, thumbnail graphics, I guess you could say, scheduling out posts, everything. So I ended up becoming head of brand because I got exposure to so many different avenues that come with brand. I learned so well what it means to represent yourself, both online and physically. And my biggest passion is to help people show themselves in their most authentic light. And that can be so hard to do, especially when, we live in a digital world where people are very judgmental and they are not afraid to tell you. I just try to encourage that so I got exposure in all the things necessary to showcase a brand the way that they want digitally. And then I also was exposed on how to do that physically. I got to meet a ton of people who were also authentically showing themselves. So I learned what it is that they do and how they get through the tough times and how they bring out who they really are, because it's a benefit for everyone around them. I guess through that as well, that is what makes me a really great person for this position, because authenticity is everything to me in a world where we worship the vanity.
Tell us about EBG's process of shooting to edit and why that's important.
When we have production days with clients, we set all of our gear up, all of our cameras, with the intention of being able to release it to certain areas. If it's for a long form video that we're posting on YouTube, well, that's gonna be in landscape. If we're also using that same footage to post on social media like TikTok or Instagram, the way you set up the shot in landscape also has to factor in that we're gonna go in and crop it. So you have to make sure that crop's gonna look good as well. So that's our process, is making sure that that's all lined up correctly so that we can use the footage for both long and short form content and get the most out of what we film for our clients.
What is it like seeing a client go from an onboarding with their first initial client call to filming for the first time and then to watching their content get posted and then their reaction to that content?
I love it. I think it's a really cool experience. Not many other people here are in the position that I am in. Yeah, so whenever I meet clients that have just come on with us and we do their onboarding call and get to know them a little bit better, their goals, most of the time, if they haven't done any kind of social media or they haven't been, in front of a camera that much, they are so nervous and they're worried about how they're gonna be seen, which is completely understandable, because being in front of cameras makes everybody feel vulnerable, especially if they're not holding a camera, if it's being placed in front of them. So that can be nerve-wracking. It's just really cool getting to understand what they would like to see, how they want to be showcased, and then through production and post-production, we get to make that happen for them. On production days, they are nervous, and we make it our job to make them more comfortable, to be like, hey, it's okay if you stutter. It's okay if you mess up. I'm not expecting you to go through this whole entire life story or your process and systems and not stutter once. That's insane. Like, if you need to start over, start over. If you stutter, just start the word over or start the sentence over. We're not gonna judge you. So it's just making them comfortable, and you can see them visibly relax, and when they start talking about what they love, it's like a new person. So that's very cool to see that switch happen on production days. And then once the content's finished and they're getting to see it and it's getting released to the public, seeing their confidence build in themselves is so cool that we were able to help them do that. Because, doing everything on your own is never fun. You can't celebrate wins with everyone, It's just really cool to see the beginning version of the client who's unsure, nervous, doesn't really know what it's gonna look like, to someone who's absolutely amazed and they're confident in themselves and they're ready to say their message and who they are even louder. So that's probably one of the coolest things I think about seeing the beginning to the end.
Why is it important that we have call sheets for our production days? And how does it make more clients more comfortable with us on the scene?
So call sheets are documents that kind of showcase every detail about a production day. Movie sets have them. It's where you'll typically see them first. And it has every detail from the weather to the temperature the room should be set at, to the itinerary, to who's in each shot, to what's being said, and everything in between. With our production team is so essential because it tells us when we have to be there, how long we have to set up, what are the conditions that we're setting up in, and then who needs to be doing what, so we can divide and conquer. Because a lot of times our sets, they're not in our office. They're in Nashville, they're in Hendersonville, they're in Murfreesboro, they're in Philadelphia, they're in Vegas, they're in California. So it comes down to our systems and processes. So those call sheets allow us to systematically get all these things done and divide and conquer as a team. For the client, it just makes them a heck of a lot more comfortable because they know what's going on. So it just kind of lets them know beforehand, like, hey, we're gonna start filming at 9 a.m., which means that you're gonna sit in this chair, we're gonna mic you up, and we're gonna start talking to you. These are the questions that we're gonna ask, so you are aware of them. Overall, an amazing template and sheet that anyone providing production services should always have.
After their initial contract is up, what are some reasons that you think clients continue to work with us and just want to be around us?
I mean, you could ask really any of us this and we'll tell you it's because we're a relationship first, which is very true. We take it upon ourselves to really get to know who we're working with, showcasing people authentically. Well, to do that, you have to get to know them. If I had this process and it was the same and I filmed every single person the same, it's not going to showcase anyone for how they should, like anyone for how they would want to be filmed and how they want to be showcased to the world. So in order for me to understand who they are authentically, I first have to just understand who they are, and I have to be empathetic. And I think everyone here on our team is very empathetic as well. So we get to know the people that we work with and we genuinely care. If there's a problem outside our scope, we'll point you to someone who can. Like, we just want the best for our clients. So I think that shows in the work and how we carry ourselves. And even after they're no longer our clients, if they choose to start on their own, they still want to come around because we made it such a good experience for them, and we're always here to help and grow our community. And once you are a client of ours, even before, you're a part of our community. So we just want to help everyone involved.
How do you know when you're making impactful content? And what is the difference between having influence and having impact?
Influence is when you get the vanity metrics. You get the views and you get the likes. Maybe even you get the shares. But impactful content is when you see people starting conversations and having mindset switches. You can see them starting to grow as a human being. And a lot of the time that does come back to, would you rather have 1,000 super fans or just 100,000 eyes on you? Having, the 1,000 super fans, you can definitely build that community pretty strong. And having impact on people is touching them. It's moving them. It's making a change in them. It's not just like, oh, there's like a little quick dash of motivation and then it's gone. It's like, no, I've shifted your perspective. I've changed you in a way that I would hope would be for the better, positive impact. But it's a change in someone's thinking, in their processes, in their understanding. That's impact. Influence is just, it's temporary, and that's the best way that I could put it. So I would always choose impact.
What did you see for yourself as a member of Executive Brand Growth?
6 months ago, when I first came in, I had no idea I was going to be in the position that I am now as head of brand. I just thought I was going to be an editor, live in my introverted, secluded area that I was comfortable in. But as I started meeting more and more clients and partners, I realized first how much I liked meeting those kinds of people and how I couldn't meet those people if I was only editing in my secluded room. Second of all, I realized that I have an ability to make people very comfortable, and a lot of the time they open up and they end up working with us and they end up having an amazing time because I made them comfortable. I ended up being a lot more client-facing because I had a personality that matched with meeting people. I'm very open. I like to understand people. I'm not judgmental. So I had a lot of qualities that made me good for meeting new people, whether they're clients or partners or just, trying to understand what it is we do as a company. So that's pretty 180 from where I thought I was going to be to where I was, but I just went with the flow and I just grew where I needed to grow.